Welcome to another episode, guys. And I'm super happy you guys tuned in. Super thankful that you are here tuning in for another spectacular episode. Today, I had the privilege of sitting down with Emmanuel Enime. And his thing is that he basically helps guys prepare for marriage. And through that, it's more of a character development that he does to really get guys, not just prepared for marriage, but prepared for life in ways that a lot of us dudes may be missing out on, and spits a lot of good wisdom. And talk to me about the importance of protecting your joy and how that's basically one of these things that's overlooked in society. And with so much madness going on with wars popping off and viruses and such, it's kind of an important thing to make sure that you are taking care of yourself internally and eternally too. But while we're here on earth, it's very important for us to make sure that, we're in a good space. Men's mental health is one of those things that just, it's exploding in that, a lot of people are not in a good spot. Obviously it affects women as well, right? But obviously here I focus more on the male side of things, and I'm seeing that a lot of dudes are suffering, a lot of dudes are lacking in this regard or don't know how to express themselves. But Emmanuel shed some good positive vibes, some good positive feedback on how we can better ourselves, how we can be more merciful. And I had an absolute pleasure talking to him. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I know I sure enjoyed talking to him. All right, without any further ado, guys, let's jump on in. What's going on, gentlemen? Welcome to another episode here at the Masculine Health Solutions Podcast, where I am joined by Emmanuel Enime. Emmanuel, I didn't want to screw it up, man. I didn't want to screw it up, so I had to make sure I came correct.
No, you did good. You did good. Hey, is it okay? I mean, we could keep the recording going, but can I take a call really quickly? I can come back in about 20 minutes.
Don't worry.
No, I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you.
This guy.
But there's a good segue, because you were like, hey, yeah, no worries. And so basically, to get to that mindset, you need to have grace and mercy. And mercy is basically, hey, you know what? If you messed up, I'm not going to beat you over the head. Or it's like, hey, I might be in the same situation, so I'm going to extend kindness to this person, because I could have easily been in that same situation.
Two boys, man.
and so it's absolutely important for people to have that. It's absolutely important for people to have that mercy, and not get angry or super upset when somebody else does something that might affect your day or might affect your mood. And so that's one of those things that you need that to defend your joy. Because, well, what will happen is this: when the difficult times come, if you don't have, or if you don't understand mercy, then it's going to be easy to get ticked off. It's going to be easy, because, well, during a difficult time, people normally have a lot going on. Maybe a family member died, or war broke out, or the pandemic, and people had to go into lockdown, and this is when tensions happen in some households, and also in the political climate as well. That's an important thing that people need to give towards politicians. It's like have that mercy for others, and this way you're able to better defend your joy, because what can happen is this. As you start to get angry at other people, then your mind starts to become overwhelmed with thoughts of or unkind thoughts towards other people, and when that happens, it's the joy starts to slowly seep away. Yeah.
And that's kind of, it's crazy about that too, right? Because you see it all over the place. Where these guys, and I know it's like, deep down, man, I know that this person is suffering, right? And I'm pretty sure, you know what, if that dude learned how to let go of the people that had done whatever wrong it was to them, they would just begin to blossom as human beings, right? And it's almost like they could find that joy, they could find that happiness. But all that comes from letting go, man. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I guess I should ask you this. How did you discover that? Because you nailed it. But how did you discover that? Just life or observation?
Know what? For me, it was kind of like same deal. I mean, you know how it is. I got immigrant parents, right? So
are you a preacher on the slick?
No, no, not me, man, not me. But
okay.
it was kind of like, obviously I went through my own difficulties, right? And because of that, I discovered the gym. And then in retrospect, I was able to propel myself so far from all this pain that I felt, where people would come up to me and ask me, like, what motivates you? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't need motivation, man. Like, the discipline already exists within me because I'm so set up in a goal in my head about defending that kid, right? Like, and that's kind of who I was. But when I let go of that pain, I said, you know what? Like, now I'm just going to do this out of a place of love where I enjoy it. I discovered it. And maybe the way that I went about discovering it wasn't the greatest. However, you know what? I found something that I'm passionate about, and I've been able to help people with this passion that I have that came from hurt. And now it just kind of changed my mindset to where, what? I forgive those, who obviously did me wrong, right? And I don't hold it against them. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm at peace with you. Like, and that's the whole thing about, like, even the stuff that I believe in the Bible, which I think a lot of people, they'll read the Bible, they'll go to church, but they don't ever apply it, man. One of the simplest things is just, hey, forgiveness, man. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's tons of people who will be like, hey, man, you did me wrong, back in the day. And that's where I'm coming from too, where I've just kind of come to discover as an adult, man, like, you were not perfect. You were flawed. And it goes back to what you were talking about, mercy, which I found pretty interesting, where if you want mercy on, like, if you want people to be merciful towards you and your children, then sometimes you gotta be merciful yourself, even though sometimes it's difficult, I'm not gonna lie, right? It is.
And yeah. You maybe I'll say this: you're preaching to the choir. So, but yeah, you're right. As far as letting things go, it's something that people should think about. And I plead with people on this. It's like, please. And part of the reason is because at some point in the future, you're gonna need that.
Yeah.
You're gonna need someone else to do the same to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the great risk is that anger, that bitterness, or even sometimes depression or just absolute despair, it's gonna grow. It will not stop. It'll grow because thoughts are like seeds.
Yes.
So negative seeds and positive seeds. And so what you plant is what's going to grow. And those thoughts grow quickly.
Yeah.
You plant a little bit of anger, it's going to grow quick. And then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, until the person is like, they feel like their mind is like a pressure cooker, and it's about to explode. And so what ends up happening is that your thoughts eventually become action. It's inevitable. Your thoughts eventually become action. And so this is one of the very important things that people need to know, especially married people, because when you live together with someone, there's an opportunity around every corner to develop unforgiveness towards your husband, towards your wife, or even, well, I'll just focus on husband and wife at this time. There's that opportunity, and so it's important for people to defend their joy and to say, hey, you know what, I got to let this go. It's like, besides, the other day I did this, and it's like, and having that knowledge that in the future you're gonna want it as well. Yeah. Indeed. And then also, like you said, additionally, multiple reasons to forgive. That stuff holds people back. It holds people back in their performance, and it has real world, like dollar consequences. Because, well, one, this is a large reason why a lot of people go to prison. Something happened, they felt disrespected, they felt shamed, and then retaliation. And so this can literally cost you money. But even in the workplace, so say, for instance, before going into the office, maybe a husband and wife get in a fight. And so husband goes into the office and his mind is on that fight. He's in the office. He can't focus as effectively on his work. And so this can lead to errors and productivity losses, because whereas he could have been focused for 8 hours, maybe he's only able to focus for 4. And so it's like multiple reasons to, and so this is why I'm like, I plead with people like, man, look, you don't understand what you're missing. Like, you're missing out on some good stuff. Like, I mean, joy, and you could get up in the morning like pumped for your day, and you look forward to Monday as well. And it's, but I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful, because as I continue to put out that message, continue to talk to people and let them know, like, hey, man, like, you could defend your joy, and you can have joy in the difficult times.
That's beautiful, because it seems, I mean, after being married for 10 years, actually, wait a minute, I don't even know. I think it might be 11 now, but I'd probably go check up on that day. But after being married for as long as I have, man, it's kind of like, I mean, the first 5 years it was rocky, but it was mostly because of me. You know, I can admit that now. And even now, it's almost like when you talk about forgiveness, where it's like, hey, you screwed up, and then owning up to it, man. Like, I'll tell you, it's easier said than done, man. When the emotions are involved, it's like, I get this. And then it's like, you know, it presents itself, and then you're like, man, I don't want to.
Yeah, and it's well, and so this is one of the reasons why part of my work is getting people their character prepared to enter marriage. So like, I'm sorry, I'm laughing here because one of the exercises that I plan on offering in the near future is singing in public. And so, part of that is, so there's character exercise built into that, because, well, on one point, you have to get over your worry about what other people might be thinking about you.
Okay.
And so, because, like, as we mentioned before, like, that stuff will hold you back. Like, you're worried about what this person's thinking. You're worried about what that person's thinking. You're worried about what that person is thinking.
Yeah.
And so factor that into a marriage. Maybe that's put in the basis of someone's plans. And so maybe a wife is pushing their husband to come on, let's buy this new house. Let's buy this new house. Let's buy this new house. Because she's worried that she's not going to look like she's at a certain level to her friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this gets incorporated into people's decisions all the time, because they're worried about the opinions of or potential opinions of other people. And so that ends up driving a person's decisions, and it will lead to problems. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm looking forward to helping people. And so this is one of the character exercises I plan on offering. And I think one of the go-to songs is going to be, well, I do this from time to time. Baby shaka doo 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 doo. But yeah, whenever I'm out in the square, well, I guess let me back up to how it first occurred. So I was in Germany in the month of August. And so I remember at one point, God told me to go to the main square, or one of the main squares in Munich.
Yeah.
And he told me to sing like at the top of my lungs. And I was singing, it's the German version of the birthday song. And so I remember, I'm like, oh man, I'm like, what? I'm like, what is, because this whole, since I left, he's like been pushing me outside of my comfort zone, here, there, like, and I noticed that in each of these things, it's like, I was like, oh, I see how this is absolutely great for to perfect the person on the inside.
Gotcha.
And so I remember when I came up into the square from the escalator from the underground, and I remember I'm like, all right, let's go. So I had to let's go, and I sang, and a few people like but in the analysis afterwards, I'm like, actually, that's a good thing. And it's a good thing for us, for people to do this. And I would say before marriage as well, to get that character prepared for marriage. So this way, it's like, hey, you know what? Me and my husband, me and my wife, we're gonna make good, sound decisions, and we're gonna get down to the why.
Yeah.
To the why, which is a very, very, very important thing. Very, very important thing, to get down to the why. Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Why? And I'll talk about unforgiveness again. This is where people can also lose their way in life or make bad decisions. Maybe somebody made fun of your shoes in middle school, and they're like, oh, you're poor. And so somebody maybe develops some unforgiveness due to that. And they're like, well, I'm gonna make sure that that I get rich, so this way nobody ever
Yeah.
makes fun of my shoes again. And then at the basis of their plans is an unstable thing,
Mm-hmm.
unforgiveness. Yeah. And so I'll talk about Hitler here. I know that might seem strange, but this is what happened to him. This is why he went so far. His his father abused him. He was rejected from the art school in Vienna twice, and other things happened to include he felt the shame when Germany lost the First World War. And so all of this stuff is building up inside of him, building up inside of him. And as I was saying before, that anger seeds, man.
Yeah.
And it just keeps growing until eventually a person is going to act on it. And so
Yeah.
this is, yeah. So, but I'm hopeful. It's like, hey, you know what? Let me keep putting out that the message, and other people as well, like yourself. You said
Yeah.
you discovered yourself, like, man, forgive. You got to let that stuff go, and you'll get freedom. Yeah. You'll get freedom. Yeah, it's
No, it's 100% true, but I kind of feel like it just comes with maturity too. It's like for some dudes, and I've noticed this, like not just for me, like a lot of guys, regardless of what they're into or whatever their discipline might be, a lot of guys almost become scared because it's like, hey, I've become so good at this thing, but I'm scared that if I forgive, I'll lose this chip on my shoulder and then I'll lose that drive, which
mm,
seems kind of counterintuitive. However, it's been true from what I've seen. Like, and from different guys that I've talked to, where I'm like, deep down, I know why you do it. Or it's almost like, if you look at comedians too, it's almost like they don't want to let go of that pain because they think, oh, that's what makes me so special. You know, it makes me spectacular, is I can continue to go back to this. But it's almost like they're torn because they'll show up on stage, they'll rip it up, make all kinds of funny jokes, and it's all a good time until he steps off, and then he's the sad man again. And he's drinking himself to
mm,
death, right?
yeah, man, and yeah, that's right, because it's a very strong driving force,
It
a
is.
very strong driving force. Hitler went from a corporal in the German army to the leader of Germany.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, this, a strong driving force. But the other thing about it is that a person, or if any of us get infected with unforgiveness, it's contagious. Like,
Yeah.
you can spread that to to other people. Like, maybe a comedian is making jokes, making fun of his wife, and
Yeah.
he's making a joke with the basis of unforgiveness, and it's like he could spread that to other people and influence other people into unforgiveness. But I mean, it will, and this is the good thing about working on your character, is because once you come to defend your joy, then you can make good clean jokes, or you could have good clean fun that isn't causing other people
Pain.
pain. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like at the beginning of like at the beginning of the podcast, I'm like, oh yeah, let me take a call. Yeah, just messing around. So it's actually, you become more creative.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I
and
do agree with
so
that.
yeah, and so it's just a matter of getting the message out to people. Like, hey, man, and part of uh, my work of getting the message out is is well, people have to see me forgive others, like
Yeah.
after something happened, And then so this way people can be like, oh, it's actually possible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Somebody could say something, like, for example, I was preaching in the square, in the main square here in Zagreb, maybe about a month ago, and I said something to this one guy, and he turned to me and he was like, shut up, get out of this country.
Wow.
And right. And so I could have held that against him and be like, oh, like this guy, yada, yada, yada. But it's like, I forgive, man. It's like, hey, I'm confident that he was overtaken by demons. And so with that said, it's like, man, he's suffering.
Yeah.
And so in some situations, the only way for someone else to come out of their bitterness and anger is for me or someone else to act in kindness, to act in gentleness, and to display acts of forgiveness. Sometimes that is the only way. I should say most of the times. And so with that said, it takes things like that for people around the world to, whenever they experience things that would normally cause people to have unforgiveness or to become bitter, and when they take that punch from life, maybe an actual punch, maybe an actual punch, and it's like, I forgive you, and keep moving forward. And the thing is, it's this mindset of having that eternal joy is absolutely possible. And there are two women that I bring up very often, and I let people know, like, go look at the life of Amy Carmichael and Gladys Aylward. They've since passed, but when you look at their life and see what
they
went through,
yeah,
I mean, or it's like, man, like she did that, she went there, and when you look at that and you still see that they maintain joy and drive and motivation all the way through to the end of their life. When you see that, it's like, for example, Amy Carmichael, she was working in India, and her complex, she was taking care of children in the community. They called her mother to the motherless, basically abandoned children, or she helped save some kids from unideal situations. And so she was on a complex, and she fell into a hole, and she broke her leg, and I guess was paralyzed for the rest of her life after that.
Jeez.
But you know what she did? She kept going. She was in that bed writing books, and they said she would go around the complex. I think they would get her around in like a wheelchair.
Yeah.
But your girl kept going, and so but kept going and doing something good. Like, I mean, she was helping out these kids, and that drive, it's that push. It's a good thing, and it can encourage everybody around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, you know, that story kind of reminded me of, I know somebody in my family never had the right mindset, right? And their mindset was always, you know, I'm not enough. That person's rich. They always got money, blah, blah, blah. You know, I never have money. I'm poor. Long story short, that person was diabetic. That person lost their foot. And in a stark contrast, the story you just told me, I saw that person just wither away right? Where that person just, started, she basically almost just made peace with God, it seemed, and just accepted the fact that my life is done. And honestly, after her foot got amputated, man, like it was just a matter of weeks, and we could kind of all see it. It's something that I tell my wife, I'm like, you kind of see it, man, because it didn't take long afterwards. But it kind of goes back to how your mindset and protecting your joy, like you were talking about, being prepared, and how all these things can cross over into any aspect of our lives. And I know you focus more on preparing yourself for marriage, but that character, that I think it's huge, because it can either propel you forward or it can pull you back, or it can
Mhm.
just help you sink to the bottom of the ocean, man. And it's crazy because it doesn't matter what you're approaching. And it's like you were talking about too, which left me thinking, where anger and these negative emotions, it's kind of like it's unstable. It's an unstable way to kind of push yourself forward, but it works, right? Until how long? Because the burnout's always there, and it's almost like,
Mhm.
I feel like when you finally reach that next level, that's where forgiveness, joy, and love kind of takes in. That's kind of where you ascend to your higher consciousness, man. And it's like it ties in perfectly.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's and so this is why, or I guess I'll say, I just officially started working in my purpose January of this year. And
Congrats, man.
so um that journey uh from the preparation to even come here, and my summertime in Croatia, and whew, there were 2 weeks I spent in Dubrovnik, and man, that was, oh, as far as uh, propelling me through the journey. It was unreal. Like, I learned so many things. I met so many people. Uh, I even ended up writing a poem after after it. I mean, maybe it was like maybe 4 or 5 months after, but man, that was like the first day. So God had told me to get there on a specific day. If I
Yeah.
recall correctly, it was June 22nd. And I'm like, oh, all right, fair enough. That'll work. I'll get to relax because I have been hitting it hard, trying to get everything prepared to apply
Yeah.
for my residency here. So I get there on the 22nd, and I remember I ended up in this random conversation, and this young lady told me a dream she had, and that was the reason why she was traveling. And
Mm.
she had stopped in Dubrovnik on her way back. And so she was telling me a dream that she had. And I remember the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, interpret it. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I haven't interpreted a dream before. But as she started
Yeah.
talking, man, it was, and she was talking like she's like just kind of throwing out puzzle pieces, and I'm like, okay, and it's like the pieces are starting to come together, and when she finishes, I go to a Bible app in my phone, and I show her 2 verses, and nailed the interpretation for the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Damn,
and
man.
so that was that was the start of Dubrovnik, and there's like you could feel a spiritual energy kind of over the city. There's a You can kind of feel joy in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I mean, maybe because it's summertime and sun, but but yeah, and I would say in general, I felt like this kind of atmosphere of joy over that city. And I learned a lot while I was out there on vacation. And it's like, hey, well, one thing I discovered is that God is super efficient. There isn't a second that he is not helping us work on our characters. And
Yeah.
so I'm out there, and one thing that I learned is that you have to prepare your mindset to relax, to just chill.
Yeah.
Because I found myself at that time, like I'm like thinking about like, okay, this would needs to be taken care of when I get back. And so those thoughts were overwhelming my mind, and
Yeah.
it came to the point where there's a scripture that goes something along these lines. Take no thought for tomorrow, because tomorrow will take thought for itself.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
enough trouble in the day. So basically, like, focus, get in the moment, because if you're bleeding all of this mental energy thinking about tomorrow, that's less energy you have to
For
focus.
today. No,
Yeah.
100%. But it's kind of like,
Uh-huh.
let tomorrow take care of itself. And that's like, I was reading into what anxiety is. And one of the topics that I try to cover here on the website and stuff too, and I want to get more in depth, is men's mental health. I'm like, why are men dropping off like flies, man? What's the deal with our mental health issues that are spiking right through the roof? And sure enough, I looked into depression and anxiety. And one of the things that I've learned so far is that depression is all about, suffering from what happened in the past, right? That could have been me easily. It could be a whole lot of people, a whole host of people, where all that unresolved childhood trauma kind of makes its way up, and then bam, it's getting you when you're in your late 20s and you can't suppress it anymore. The other one is anxiety, where you're fearing the future. And it blew my mind, because I'm like, holy cow, man. And it's not even a small population anymore. It's massive, man. Like, it's huge. And so many people are suffering, worrying about something that doesn't even exist. Right. And that's what blew my mind. I'm like, and I can't say that, I've conquered it completely, because I haven't, man.
uh
you know
you're growing as you go.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Uh-huh.
like, I'm aware of it. However, I'm like, yo, in order for me to master it, it's probably going to take a lifetime.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Right. But at the
Well,
same time, it's like what you just said, right? And you nailed it on the head. Let tomorrow worry for itself, because you only have today. And
mhm.
that with me, just I meditated on that thought for a while, and I was like, bro, that's some life-changing advice.
And I guess let me add this. I'm not saying don't plan, because
Mhm.
you do need to do that, but maybe the simplest piece of advice is put it on the schedule, and then boom, focus on today.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's like plan, take care of it, put it on the schedule, and then focus on today. But so in regards to a lot of men, and I'll say women as well, suffering
Oh yeah.
from depression and anxiety, is that a lot of people end up uh, getting tricked into bottling up
Yeah.
the things that are bothering them. And there's a Nigerian proverb that my mom told me: if you hide sickness, you die.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
and so it's like, man, find the right people, find someone trustworthy to get that stuff off of your chest. You got it. And to find the resolution, because there's always a fix.
Yeah.
There's always a fix. And this is what Jesus Christ came to the planet for. It's like, look, there's a fix. I can help. I got you. Just come on. Just come on. Stay with me. Stay with me. There's a fix. Um, and And so this is where it's important for people to make sure they get stuff off of their chest. And one, or I should say two things that are beneficial is journaling, keeping like trying to work through your thoughts, because part of frustration is I don't know what's bothering me. Like I don't know. It's like I know something is wrong, but I can't get down to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And so this is where it's like, as I mentioned earlier, getting down to that why, what's going on here, and something else that helps is writing poetry, and so because it's almost like your soul is speaking and it's coming out into the paper. And so the verse goes like this: out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if something is heavy on your heart, heavy on your soul, it's gonna come out in a person's speech or in their writing. And so if you write a poem, with the good character coach, they can see like, oh, hey, maybe I can see that this person there's depression in that poem, or there's anxiety in that poem, or there's hidden joy in that poem. And it's like you see that little kernel of joy. It's like, hey, you got it. Now let's make it grow. Yeah.
Or you can really foster it from there. And it's interesting you say that too, because I mean, it doesn't matter who you look up, but like I remember when I was younger, Tony Robbins said the same thing, keep a journal. And I'm like, man, keep your journals for girls, man. I don't keep no journal, man. I don't need no journal, right? But then as you get older, and like my wife has always done this since she was younger, right? Me, I haven't, I've kind of got into it more now, where it's just kind of like I'll write like little notes, little entries to myself. And it's true, but it's kind of scary how revealing it can be, like where you're like, oh, dude, man, I thought I was past this, but clearly I'm not.
Yeah, it's important, like, because you could find some things in the process and be like, man, I've been doing this for many years, and this is all tied back to some childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that trauma was maybe something as simple as a man shouldn't cry.
Yeah.
And so because of that young boy decided, well, I'm not going to show my emotions. I'm not going to let people know what's bothering me, because I might cry. And so that's the basis of a plan moving forward. It's like, I'm not going to show emotions. And then so from then on out, it's like that bottling up happens. And so, yeah, it's important sometimes, right, get it out. And at the same time, talk to someone you trust as well, because as you're in that process, this can help you get down to what's frustrating you. It can help you get down to what's frustrating.
Right to that root level. No, you're 100% right about that. And for me, indeed. It's, I got my wife, so I mean, I'm pretty much good, man.
Yeah, and and that's a good thing to have someone to continuously bounce things off of. And well, I'll talk about another angle of journaling or writing. It's a good thing for people before they have to have like a serious discussion with someone, instead of popping like popping off at the mouth right away. It's like, well, let me find out what do I really want to say? What is the real issue?
Yeah.
And maybe it's like, as your wife is writing her journal, she's like, I was upset with him because he went and bought that microphone. I wanted him to get the other microphone. I
They
wanted him
spent
to
too
get
much
the
money.
other microphone. Oh,
No,
man.
but it's true. And you're right, because it could be minor things, but it's almost like that's not the root cause, man. There's other issues that are underlying to, or even a precursor to what led to that.
Mhm.
Where it's like, man, you know what? I'm just gonna get pissed about this, but the truth of the matter is that this was a long time coming.
It's
And you're 100% right about that, because it almost seems like, and I mean, I'm human. That's like an arguments with my wife, and it's sometimes when, if I was able to do that before, I go and talk to her, obviously, you know what, I would be able to gather my thoughts. I could almost group it and be like, hey man, this, that, and the other,
mhm.
let's talk about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm hopeful, man. I'm hopeful that that is we keep spreading these type of messages that people will, that men will be like, hey man, you know what, it's okay to talk to someone about something that's bothering me. It's okay um to let out a tear
Yeah.
uh, from uh, from time to time. Like it's okay, and it's very beneficial
Yeah.
as well. And so I'm looking forward as I continue working, continue striving to try and get these good seeds out there,
Yeah.
because I can infect people with good things and watch that joy grow within within other people.
Well,
So yeah.
making that positive impact, man, which I think is important. But tell us a little bit about what you do, Emmanuel. Kind of how you work with guys and how you get their characters prepared for marriage.
So right now, just because I'm just officially starting in this, I am helping people understand fundamentals that and tools that they need to use in order to play this game called life.
Gotcha.
And so right now uh, I'm teaching and helping people through my Instagram. And so if
Gotcha.
people want to go to my Instagram, it's all one word, at Emmanuel Enime. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And you'll throw it in the show notes, or should I spell it?
I don't know, man. You gotta take that phone call and all. So
Good.
yeah, no. Obviously, man. Of course,
Brought it full circle. Brought it full circle from the beginning to the end.
I figured we'd end it on a good note. Oh man.
but yeah, so that's where people could find me. And as time goes, I'll put out more and more and more stuff, and we can have some fun.
Hey, for sure, man. I'll be sure to add that. Check the description, guys. I'll make sure to have Emmanuel's information there. And just keep me posted when you get your website going and anything else that you add to I guess, I don't know, your multimedia package, I guess.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward.
For
So
sure.
yeah.
All right, man. Well, any closing words, Manuel?
Baby shark do the
Oh,
I don't know, seize the day. Spread joy.
not like
It'll
that.
It'll come back to you.
Yes. Hey, man. Just to add, even though I know you had the closing words, but I don't know. I see that there's like I don't know, like a spiritual awakening in the air or something, where I just see more people are getting more in tune with all this good stuff. And I just want to say, on behalf of a lot of men that I know, and I just appreciate the work that you're doing, man. And I just want to say you're leading the charge. And hey, I respect that and I love it. And I hope more and more people can come forward and just do the good work that you're doing, man. So, hey, wish you all the best. Nothing but blessings, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. On that note, to the next episode, guys.
All right, cool.